Hello, hello, hello. How is the light looking in here? Hi, AJ. Hello. How does the light look? I feel like I need more light. I'm just so blinded by this light. It's looking fine. Okay. All right. I'll just wait a little bit until more people come in. It's so early right now for me. It's like way too early. I didn't bring my water up here. All right. I'll be right back. I'm going to get my water. All right. I'm back. So it is, I think, 9 in the morning. So it's not early, but for me, I usually do the book reviews at 12:30. But like I mentioned yesterday when I was at Starbucks, my dad is off on vacation this week, so he's here. And he didn't go to the gym, but he's outside. So, hi, hello from Ireland. Hello from Los Angeles, Brendy. So, so he's outside right now cleaning. So I don't know what he's doing outside, but at least he's outside. Because once he comes inside, he's going to start making noise, or he's going to be looking for me and come help me with this. And so I'm just like, I need to do this book review now, and I'll just leave it up all day. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's weird to have them here because I'm usually home alone all day, and then they get home. Everybody gets home from work. But this week it's going to be my dad. Next week it's going to be my mom, and then we're going to have more company coming in from, you know, different parts of the country and Mexico and stuff because we're having a big party. So it's just a whole mess. So I just thought I'd better get on here right now and start doing this book review before he's done doing whatever he's doing outside. And next week I probably won't have a book review because there's just going to be too many people here. I don't know if somebody's actually going to be staying in this room. That might happen. I don't know. But I'm thinking maybe Sunday, because usually I have some time to myself on Sunday morning. But I'm usually running errands, so I don't know. So maybe if I'm here on Sunday, I will always go to Starbucks. I know, right? I can always go to Starbucks with the people that sit like super close to me and just start doing a book review and have them stare at me. So yeah, it's awkward. Usually there's not too many people there at that hour, but yesterday just happened to be one of those days where there was just a bunch of people, and they all wanted to sit next to me, like on that side where I was. I have to sit there because I have to stay away from the light inside the Starbucks, but then there were other tables across the way and nobody wanted to sit there, so it was really weird. I guess I'll get started. I shouldn't put this water there because it's going to make the table shake. So, last week I reviewed How to Be Sick by Toni Bernhard. And, well, let me introduce myself first. For those of you that don't know, or for those of you that are new, my name is Marisol, and I have late-stage Lyme disease. So I've been sick for about 10 years, but the worst part of my illness has been about the last 5, and I've been totally disabled, mostly homebound, and basically what I've been dedicating myself to is just coping. Last month I did a scope a day in May, and May also happens to be Lyme Awareness Month. So my scope every single day pertained to Lyme disease or chronic illness. So I did that, and a lot of people really enjoyed that, and they requested that I continue doing scopes. But because I have a very severe form of light sensitivity, if you guys want more information about that, you can watch my other scopes on here. But that severe light sensitivity really keeps me from being on my phone very much. So you'll notice that I don't really go and watch other people's scopes, and I try not to scope that much because the light of the phone does bother me. Um, so I told everybody, thank you, Brendy. I told everybody I do want to keep scoping and keep in touch with everyone, but I probably would do it just, once or twice a week. So right now what I'm doing is book reviews. So basically book reviews on different types of books, not just self-help, and applying them to chronic illness and just in coping and how it helps you cope and, why this book would be beneficial for a sick person. So last week I did How to Be Sick by Toni Bernhard, and this was a really good one. If you guys missed my other reviews, there's a link in my bio to my YouTube page, and that's where I post all of the Periscope replays. So if you missed my review, you can always go to my YouTube page and check out my reviews there. This is a really good one. If you have a chronic illness or any kind of chronic condition, this is a really, really good one to read. Okay, cool. And I know last week I subscribe to it too if you can. I know last week I said that this was the Bible of chronic illness, but I changed my mind. This is now the Bible of chronic illness. This is How to Live Well. It's by the same author, Toni Bernhard. And this one definitely, they are two different books, but this one definitely is my number one of the two. So I'm going to tell you, first of all, why I got the book. Like I said, like I just mentioned, I have a chronic illness. I have late stage Lyme disease. And I've been struggling with it for a long time. Her first book was a real... All right, have a good day, Brendy. Her first book was a real game changer for me because I was having a really difficult time coping with my illness and trying to figure out... for a while, I was trying to figure out what it was because I didn't know what it was. And then I got diagnosed and went through treatment, and treatment was unsuccessful. And I had heard of this book... I forgot where I heard of it. I don't know. I think it's a very popular book for people that are chronically ill. And so I got it and I read it, and it really talked about how there are things that we can do to alleviate our suffering. Illness does not cause suffering. It is our wish for things to be different. Our wish to be better is what actually causes suffering. So it's not the fact that we are sick. And that really spoke to me. And a lot of the different things that are in that book really hit home for me because I was not practicing those things. But this book is definitely, I would say, the definitive guide to chronic illness. So I got this book because I had read her first one. And I loved her first one so much. She actually just recently came out with this one. So she just finished this one. So right away I was like, I loved her first book. Hopefully this one is just as good, and in my opinion it was even better. It's bigger, but that's because it has more information in it, so that's why I got it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Toni Bernhard. I did read it all. I just finished it a couple days ago. All of the books that I review, I've read them front to back, and I tell everybody, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. Whatever the book says to do, I do it. That way I can tell you guys whether it's effective or not. If it's a self-help book. If it's not a self-help book, then I apply it in different ways to my life. But this one, just finished reading it, and it is incredible. So I'm going to tell you who Toni Bernhard is. And I'm just going to read what it says about her in here because there's so much about her, and I feel like if I just summarize it, I'm not really doing her justice. So... Toni Bernhard is the author of the award-winning How to Be Sick, a Buddhist-inspired guide for the chronically ill and their caregivers, and How to Wake Up, a Buddhist-inspired guide to navigating joy and sorrow. She's been interviewed on radio and for podcasts across the country and internationally. Her blog, Turning Straw into Gold, is hosted by Psychology Today Online. She maintains a personal relationship with her many thousands of fans on Facebook and other social media sites. Toni fell ill on a trip to Paris in 2001 with what her doctors initially diagnosed as an acute viral infection. She has not recovered. Until forced by illness to retire, she was a law professor at the University of California, Davis, serving 6 years as the Dean of Students. She has been a practicing Buddhist since the early 1990s. She lives in Davis with her husband Toni and their Gray Lab Scout. Toni can be found online at ToniBernhard.com. So she's not just the author of this book, she is a chronically ill person. And that's why I really trust her writing, because she's speaking from experience. And this book is definitely, it could not have been written by someone that was not chronically ill, because it's basically a how-to guide, how to navigate your life while being chronically ill. The first book was more of Buddhist teachings and how to apply them to your chronic illness and your struggles. Hi, Karen. But this is an actual how-to guide. So this is the target audience for this, of course, is the chronically ill or their caregivers. So this book is also designed for the people that are taking care of the sick, or anybody that would like to know what it's like to be chronically ill. Hi, Sotero, welcome. So I highly recommend it, even if you're not chronically ill, but you're caring for someone, or you know someone that is sick and you want to know how better to communicate with them, or just to be more empathetic towards what they're going through. I would say this is a self-help. It says that it's a health mindfulness book, but I would say that it's probably self-help. So the focus of this book is basically, it summarizes and explains the various challenges and aspects of being chronically ill. So almost any different type of challenge or different anything that comes with a chronic illness, it will be in this book. The psychological issues that you deal with. She gets very, very specific too, to the point where she has a chapter dedicated to being young and chronically ill. So she really, really breaks it down and lets you know what the specific challenges are for different types of people with chronic illnesses. There's a little bit of coping in it, but I think the first one incorporated Buddhist teachings more in order to cope. This one just tells you how to navigate your feelings, navigate the system, the healthcare system. So it really is like a guide. And she says down here, a mindful guide. It's very thorough and specific, like I just said. It addresses a variety of aspects related to having chronic illness. So she has a chapter on invisible illness. When you have an illness that nobody can see, what are the specific challenges that those people face? She has the one on being young and chronically ill. What are the specific challenges that those people face? Dealing with doctors and the system. She has a chapter on loneliness and how to mind illness. Well, that would be like a psychological condition. And she does address the different psychological ramifications of being chronically ill. So she does have a chapter on loneliness, which I really, really liked, because most people with chronic health issues suffer from loneliness constantly. Yeah, an illness that you can't see. Exactly. That is true. Psychiatric conditions can also be invisible illnesses. She also has a chapter on being sick while sick, which she calls, I believe she called it illness upon illness or something like that. So, and that was something that, people don't really, that's getting really specific. Being sick while you're chronically ill. This actually happened to me this year, where I ended up getting like a really, really bad like chest kind of cough thing, and I was sick for a while being chronically ill. So it's like you have a double whammy. And she actually was just diagnosed and treated for breast cancer. So she knows exactly what it's like to be sick on top of sick. So she has sort of like, okay, I'll see you in a bit. So she has like a severe chronic fatigue, but then she got breast cancer on top of that. So she had to go through breast cancer treatment while being chronically ill. Here, DMV application. Okay. So she has firsthand experience in almost all of these categories. She's kind of like what I said right now. She isn't just talking the talk. She walks the walk. So she's been dealing with these issues she's been through a lot. And actually this book, she addresses the fact that she doesn't just have this horrible chronic fatigue. She suffers from other chronic conditions that she had prior to her chronic fatigue. And that was really eye-opening for me because she doesn't talk about that in her other book. And she actually tells you in this book why she doesn't talk about that. So she gets very, very specific with her experiences. It's a very relatable book. It's written in plain English. So this book has a lot less Buddhist philosophy and a lot more just practical, everyday stuff. She doesn't use a lot of Buddhist terminology. She does cite some Buddhist teachers and some Buddhist practices that she had in the first book, but there's not that much in here. Hi, Esoteric. So her books are very accessible. So for anybody that is worried about reading her books and finding a lot of medical terms or a lot of Buddhist terms, you'll be fine. There's not a lot, and especially in this one. This one is even more just down to earth. It's not hippy dippy. It's not, go out and, I don't know, meditate or something. Hi, Jessie. She does tell you to meditate, but this one is not so much about that as it is just navigating a chronic illness. So you're dealing with a book that's very easy to read. Hi, how are you? She's very down to earth. Even though she was a law professor and she's a very educated woman, she is very down to earth. Who has lupus and arthritis. Okay, yes, this would be a very, very excellent book for you and for her. I actually wish that my parents would read these books, but they probably wouldn't. But it's an amazing book for anybody that is suffering with a chronic illness or that knows somebody that's suffering. I can't recommend her books enough. I mean, they are amazing books. She does talk about the exercises from the first book, like the turnaround and self-compassion. She does talk about them in here, and she does tell you how to do them, but she doesn't go into it as much as she did in the first book. So if you really want to have a practice that you do, I would recommend getting the first book, because this book doesn't really focus too much on these practices. It does tell you, and it tells you when you can use them, but she doesn't go into too much detail with them. So if you really want to have that daily practice, you might want to check out the first book. She has it divided into sections for specific concerns, like I just mentioned, but she also has like skills for each day, things to know, or practices just to get you through daily living. She has a section for family, friends, and caregivers, and also special challenges that arise when you are chronically ill. So she really breaks it down. And that was the thing that I didn't like about the first book, is that it wasn't too specific. She didn't break it down as specifically by these different little categories. And I think she probably got that feedback, and that's why she wrote this book. This book is much more specific. You can actually open the table of contents and find the specific issue that you're looking for. So skills to help with each day, mindfulness, family, friends, and caregivers, enjoying the life you have. So she does break it down very, very well. And yeah, the table of contents in this one is much bigger than the one in the first one. So that way you just go to your specific concern. She does include examples from her life, but I feel like this book is less of a narrative. Hi, Spike. I do practice mindfulness, yes. I've been actually doing it for many years, almost since the very, very beginning of my illness. Hi, how are you? Before I even knew that I was really sick, I actually had seen a psychologist, and he taught me something called paradoxical relaxation, which is sort of like a form of mindfulness. And it does help. It actually helps to relieve pain. So she's very specific in this book. She does continue to include examples from her life, but not as much as the first one. Thank you for inviting followers. So you're not going to hear too much narrative about her life. like in the first one. In the first one, she talks about her trip to Paris. She talks about all the things that happened, how she was just stuck in bed during the entire trip to Paris, and after that point, she was not well. This book, she'll give you small examples from her life, but just to sort of show you how, that chapter specifically applies. But she doesn't talk too much about, she doesn't really give much of a narrative about her life in this book. Lots of tips, lots of practical stuff. Practical, how to talk to doctors, how to deal with doctors, how to deal with people that don't understand your illness. So she really, really gives you very useful advice, or very useful tips. What to do, how to respond to these people, how to keep your cool when you're dealing with someone that just does not want to listen. So she does, and I mean, because she's sick, she definitely has really great advice, because she's been through it all. She's been sick for over 15 years. So she's spoken to every single type of person. She's faced every kind of challenge. To this day, I don't believe she has a diagnosis. So she's still living with this mystery illness. Thank you for the hearts, by the way. She's very, very relatable. The one thing that I liked about this book is that she's very humorous. She's not a Debbie Downer. I mean, there is a chapter on loneliness. That's great. Glad to have you back. She does have a chapter on loneliness, and there are depressing pieces in the book. Yeah, she does say that, the health system is not that great. She doesn't go into it, though. She doesn't go into all of the controversies of our medical system, because she wants to focus the book on just kind of coping with that. So she doesn't really focus on the negative, which I like. And she's very lighthearted and very humorous. One of my favorite, and she's very, very relatable, too. There was this part in the book where she says that they got a new puppy. Her husband got a new puppy for her. And she plays this game called Bed Rats. And I have a dog. We have a dog here at the house. And I play the exact same game with her when I'm in my bed. And she jumps on my bed, and you kind of move your hand under the blanket, and the dog kind of chases it. And it was so funny. It's like, wow, this is stuff that we all do. I don't think it's specific just to sick people, but it's stuff that we all do. So it was super, super relatable. And she has this really good chapter. And I think she included this chapter for the humor. It's kind of humorous, but it's called Confessions. It's called True Confessions. And it's one of the last chapters in the book. And she basically is confessing about things that she does. I think it's things that she does that she also heard other chronically ill people do that we don't like to talk about very much. So one of them is we don't shower every day, which is gross, but it's actually very true. We don't shower every day. And so she's saying it in a funny tone, basically. It's not something that she's saying it like depressed or whatever. She's trying to make this funny and relatable. So I think my dad is climbing up the ladder over here. Just happens to be in this room. She says she loves her bed. She's become an expert eavesdropper. It's just all of this really, these really funny confessions, but they're actually very true. I'm the same way. I love to eavesdrop on people. It's one of the few things I can still do. She also has some very serious confessions, like she sometimes wishes that she was more sick than she actually was, that she was actually physically disabled or visibly disabled. And that's, I think, a wish that a lot of chronically ill people, yes, a lot of chronically ill people have that wish, because our disability cannot be seen. Oh my gosh, he's right here at the window. So, okay. So, very relatable, very humorous, and like I said, I do apply this stuff in real life. So, this is so weird. He's like right at the window. He's cleaning the window. So, I did apply this in real life. She has two things that she recommended in one of the chapters. One of them was double the time it takes to do something. My dad, because he's here on vacation, so he's cleaning every window of the house, and right now he's actually cleaning that window. So she recommends to double the time it takes to complete a task or to move in slow motion. And this is actually something that I started doing. Well, I was actually doing it without intention, but I started doing it more intentionally because she says, basically you have no rush. But also it's better to just slow things down because it's a lot of wear and tear on your body. And it also helps you to be more mindful of what you're doing. So I've noticed that when I wash the dishes, I take more time washing the dishes. If I go out somewhere, I walk slower. I just take my time. And it does ease sort of a certain amount of anxiety. But it also, it eases your pain because we're constantly rushing and trying to do these things and we don't have the normal ability that other people have. So I tried that, and it's really interesting. You do kind of tend to focus more on what you're doing, but it's also, for me, I feel like it relieves anxiety. Hi, Silosh. Good morning. Thank you for the hearts. So for me, it just kind of slows me down and eases a little bit of anxiety for me. But for her, she said it's mindfulness. You pay attention more to what you're doing, and you tend to enjoy it or notice things that you wouldn't notice before. And I do. I notice different things when I'm washing the dishes, like the temperature of the water or how dirty or how clean the dishes are. Hi, Sulking. So that's very interesting. So yeah, I did try some of those things. And I do recommend the book. Overall, I do recommend the book. The one thing, again, that I did not like, that's the same as her first book, was the fact that there were no worksheets for some of the practices. It's just, try this. But this book really isn't a worksheet kind of book. It's not a book that you can really, take and write out what you're going to do. It's basically a how-to guide. So it's more of a reference, kind of a reference type of book. But it was very, very good. For anybody that's chronically ill or chronically sick, I highly recommend it. And for anybody that's caring for someone who's chronically ill, I highly recommend it as well. Like I said, I can't say enough good things about her books. They're really great. I'm so distracted right now, guys. Sorry. But like I said, she doesn't have really too many practices in this book. It's just, thank you, AJ. It's just sort of, it's kind of like these are the different experiences that you're going to have being a sick person. So she's basically giving you a heads up. This is actually a good book for someone that either just started getting sick or just got diagnosed with a chronic illness, because it's going to give you, it's basically chronic illness 101. It's going to tell you everything that you're going to deal with, for the years to come. So I would say that's a great intro book for anybody that has a chronic illness. Highly recommend it. I can't recommend her books enough. They're really great. Like I said, I wish people in my family would read them. They would have a better idea of what I'm dealing with. But that's for them to decide. But I can't really see too many bad things about this book, to be honest. It's really, really great. I went through this book. It draws you in as well. That's one of the things that I always look for in a book is, does it draw me in? Yes, it does. Her writing is funny and upbeat, but it's not difficult. It's not complicated. It's very relatable. It's just got so much good information in it. It's just, she's just a really good author. She's a really good writer. I don't know if she had a background in writing before this, but she was a law professor, so I'm sure she did a lot of writing. So, but anyways, that's my book review. I know I'm kind of cutting it short. I usually do like a Q&A and stuff. Hi, Austin, Texas. But I have a feeling that my dad is now going to come over to these windows, so he's actually going to be able to see me over here. So I just wanted to do this really quick before he actually came inside the house, but I had no idea that he was actually going to be right here at these windows. But if you guys haven't checked it out, do I write? Yes, I do write. I'm not a writer, but I do write. I write about things that are going on in my life, my chronic illness, experiences that I've had, I don't know, dating, whatever I can write about, I write about. But I'm not a professional writer. I wish that I was, though. At one point in my life, I wanted to be a professional writer. But I love to read. So if you guys want more information about my illness, I have a YouCaring page that has more of the specifics about my illness. The link is in my bio. I have a blog, too, but the blog doesn't really apply to chronic illness. Thank you so much, AJ. And if you want to check out my other Periscope replays, they're on YouTube. The link is in my bio. That's cool. You're really articulate. Well, I hope I'm really articulate. I got a little distracted because I did not expect my dad to be on a ladder out here on this window. I was hoping he was outside somewhere. But I'm glad that I got to do this review. This book is really, really great. I can't recommend it enough. But check out my links, the links in my bio if you guys want more information. Next Thursday, like I said, I probably won't have a book review because we're going to have a lot of people in the house. If I have time on Sunday, if there's nobody here, I think I may do a book review, a book that I read a long time ago, but that I really like. So that's tentative. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that because, like I said, I'm out and about on the weekends running errands. But thank you guys for being here with me and for hanging in there with me. Hi, Esoteric. I know this was kind of a weird book review. Like I said, people are here this week and next week, and it's just going to be kind of 2 weeks that are a little off. So thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you again soon.